The studio went silent. Then Kellyanne Conway suddenly snapped. One moment, it was just another high-profile political debate. Cameras rolling, anchors smiling, lights blazing across the stage. And then, in the blink of an eye, the entire energy in the room shifted. Kellyanne leaned forward, her voice rising, her finger jabbing the air as if the sheer volume of her words could erase everything her opponent had just said. The audience gasped. Some froze in disbelief, others whispered under their breath. And somewhere in the back, a producer buried his face in his hands, already knowing this moment was about to break the internet. Millions were watching live. Millions more would soon join. And at the center of it all, sitting just 3 feet away, was Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, calm, composed, unshaken. She didn't flinch, didn't raise her voice, didn't even blink. As Kellyanne shouted over her, Jasmine simply sat there, hands folded, waiting, almost daring her opponent to finish. Twitter lit up instantly. Within seconds, hashtags like Kellyanne Meltdown and Jasmine Owns Live started trending. Screenshots of Jasmine's expressionless stare flooded Instagram, and TikTok exploded with reaction clips. But here's the thing. No one knew yet what Jasmine had said. No one understood the quiet, measured words that had pushed Kellyanne Conway, a seasoned political warrior, into a full-blown on-air eruption. Commentators scrambled, pundits speculated. Some claimed Jasmine crossed a line. Others argued she had simply spoken the one truth Kellyanne didn't want to hear. And yet, while the country debated, Jasmine remained silent. She didn't tweet. She didn't explain. She didn't have to. Because the clip spoke for itself, the world was about to find out what really happened in those few tense seconds on live television, and why this single exchange would set social media on fire, dominate headlines for days, and put Jasmine Crockett's name on everyone's lips. But to truly understand why this moment shook the nation, you need to see what led up to this explosive confrontation. Long before Kellyanne Conway's explosive outburst, the stage was already charged with tension. The debate was part of a high-stakes primetime special hosted by one of the nation's biggest networks, a sleek, modern studio packed with a live audience, and millions more watching across the country. The panel featured 4 heavyweights, but it was clear from the very start that the real clash would come down to just 2 voices, Kellyanne Conway and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The topic was one that had divided the nation: immigration, reform, federal spending, and what it really means to represent the people. These weren't just policy points. They were deeply personal battles over identity, belonging, and the very definition of America. For weeks, clips of Kellyanne promoting the event had been circulating online. She had made it clear she was coming prepared to set the record straight, armed with her signature rapid-fire sound bites, sharp comebacks, and unshakable confidence. For Kellyanne's supporters, she was the ultimate fighter, someone unafraid to cut through political correctness and say what others wouldn't dare. But for millions of Americans, she symbolized something else: arrogance, gaslighting, and an endless strategy of deflection and dominance. Enter Jasmine Crockett, the rising Democratic star known for her razor-sharp logic and calm, steady delivery. Unlike Kellyanne, Jasmine didn't rely on theatrics or shouting. She built her reputation in congressional hearings, where she dismantled complex legal arguments with precision, staying grounded even under the most intense pressure. She didn't just speak for her audience, she represented them. Immigrants, workers, marginalized communities, people who rarely got the microphone in debates like this one saw Jasmine as their voice. 2 women, 2 opposing ideologies, 1 live stage, and millions watching. The network knew the stakes, the moderators knew the stakes, and judging by the restless audience murmuring in anticipation, every single person in that studio knew the stakes. This wasn't just a debate. It was a cultural collision playing out in real time. From the opening statements, Kellyanne came out swinging, fast, loud, forceful, every line designed to dominate, every interruption calculated to destabilize. But Jasmine never wavered. She listened, she waited. She picked her moments carefully, her calmness cutting through the noise like a steady heartbeat in a storm. Social media was already buzzing before the real fireworks even began. Clips of Kellyanne's jabs were circulating, but so were screenshots of Jasmine's poised expression. People sensed something brewing. The tension was building with each passing minute. And then Kellyanne made her first move, one that set the entire internet ablaze. Before the cameras started rolling that night, Kellyanne Conway already carried a reputation, one built over decades of political combat, relentless spin, and carefully engineered dominance. To her supporters, she was a master strategist, someone who had helped shape national narratives from behind the scenes and in front of the cameras. But to her critics, she represented something darker, an unapologetic manipulator of truth, a provocateur who thrived on chaos and confrontation. Kellyanne rose to national prominence as the campaign manager who helped secure Donald Trump's stunning 2016 election victory. That role made her a household name, not just because of her political savvy, but because of her sheer willingness to fight, no matter the cost. Morning shows, primetime interviews, Sunday panels. It didn't matter where she was. Kellyanne never backed down. She could bend the conversation in any direction she wanted, often refusing to answer direct questions, turning attacks into counterattacks, and leaving hosts scrambling to regain control. There was one infamous interview where she coined the phrase alternative facts, a moment that became an instant symbol of her approach. When the truth became inconvenient, redefine it. For some, this made her brilliant. For others, it made her dangerous. Over the years, she built a long list of controversies, heated clashes with reporters, sharp dismissals of opposing viewpoints, and viral exchanges where she turned calm discussions into verbal battlegrounds. Kellyanne didn't just debate, she dominated. Her tone, her volume, even her body language, everything about her strategy was designed to overwhelm her opponent. When Kellyanne spoke, she didn't leave room for others to breathe, let alone respond. Producers loved her because she guaranteed ratings. Opponents feared her because she weaponized unpredictability. And audiences tuned in, knowing one thing. For certain, wherever Kellyanne went, drama followed. But beneath her commanding stage presence was a calculated pattern. Kellyanne thrived in environments where she could control the tempo. Quick responses, constant interruptions, redirecting the spotlight before anyone could pin her down. For years, this formula worked flawlessly. Time after time, she managed to unsettle even the most seasoned politicians, attorneys, and journalists. So when she agreed to face off against Jasmine Crockett, Kellyanne wasn't worried. In her mind, this was familiar territory, another chance to overpower, to dominate, to win the narrative. She expected Jasmine to react like most of her past opponents, frustrated, flustered, eventually losing composure under the weight of her pressure. But what Kellyanne didn't anticipate was Jasmine's silence, not the absence of words, but the power behind them. Unlike others, Jasmine wouldn't bite at every provocation. She wouldn't chase Kellyanne's distractions or engage in shouting matches. And that very calmness would become the unexpected weapon Kellyanne never saw coming. In the days leading up to the debate, insiders reported that Kellyanne spent hours rehearsing sound bites, short, explosive lines engineered to trend online. Her team studied Jasmine's speeches, anticipating her arguments and scripting counters designed to catch her off guard. Kellyanne was preparing for war, certain she'd walk away with another viral moment in her favor. But as the opening minutes of the debate unfolded, something strange began to happen. Kellyanne's usual tactics weren't landing the same way. She'd deliver a sharp jab, but Jasmine wouldn't react. She'd interrupt mid-sentence, expecting frustration, but Jasmine's voice stayed steady. Every time Kellyanne tried to steer the energy into chaos, Jasmine quietly anchored it back to the issues. Behind the cameras, producers exchanged glances. Something unusual was happening, something they hadn't seen before with Kellyanne Conway. For the first time in years, it seemed like she was facing someone she couldn't rattle. And then came the moment no one expected. The one line. The one exchange that flipped the entire room on its head and sent shockwaves across the country. But Jasmine Crockett was not like Kellyanne's past opponents, and what came next stunned even her harshest critics. Long before her name trended across every social media platform, Jasmine Crockett's journey had been defined by grit, resilience, and an unshakable belief in justice. Born and raised in Texas, Jasmine didn't grow up with political power handed to her. She carved her path the hard way through late nights, endless study sessions, and an unwavering commitment to becoming the kind of advocate she wished more people had. Before she ever stepped foot in Congress, Jasmine was an attorney, and not the kind who chased headlines or fortune. She chose cases that mattered, cases where ordinary people were up against impossible odds. Civil rights violations, wrongful convictions, families fighting for dignity in a system stacked against them. Jasmine stood with them all. Those years shaped her, molding a lawyer who didn't just argue law, but fought for lives. Someone who understood the weight of every word she spoke inside a courtroom. Her reputation grew quickly. Judges noticed her precision. Clients trusted her fire. And opponents learned something crucial about Jasmine Crockett. She didn't scare easily. When she stepped into a fight, she came prepared, not with shouting or theatrics, but with facts, strategy, and the quiet confidence of someone who had faced chaos before and refused to be consumed by it. That same spirit carried her to Congress, where she became a voice for communities too often ignored. Whether addressing racial disparities, fighting for immigrant protections, or challenging policies designed to silence marginalized voices, Jasmine brought the same steady energy every single time. No matter the chaos swirling around her, she grounded herself in one unshakable principle: dignity over noise. Clips of Jasmine in congressional hearings went viral more than once. Not because she yelled, but because she didn't. When others lost their tempers, Jasmine stayed poised. When confronted with dismissiveness or condescension, she countered with clarity and composure. Her questions were sharp, her statements precise, and when she needed to, she could deliver a line so cutting, so perfectly timed, that it left entire panel silent. For her supporters, she represented something rare in American politics: calm strength. She wasn't there to play the game of sound bites and chaos. She was there to lead. For many immigrants, working families, and young voters, Jasmine became a mirror of hope, proof that you could succeed without shouting the loudest, that facts still mattered, and that dignity still had power. And yet, despite her growing influence, Jasmine never carried herself like someone seeking the spotlight. She avoided unnecessary feuds, refused to get dragged into petty exchanges, and often let her work speak louder than her words. That restraint made her dangerous to opponents like Kellyanne Conway, who thrived on chaos and control. Jasmine didn't. Give her enemies the reactions they wanted, and in debates that made her unpredictable. In the days leading up to the televised showdown, Jasmine didn't prepare the way most candidates would. While Kellyanne's team rehearsed aggressive soundbites and rapid-fire comebacks, Jasmine focused on grounding herself. She studied the policies, sharpened her arguments, and worked with her team to ensure her facts were airtight. But she didn't rehearse anger. She didn't rehearse attacks. Jasmine knew exactly who she was walking into that studio: a black woman in a country still wrestling with its identity, standing toe-to-toe with one of the most combative figures in modern politics. She knew Kellyanne's reputation, knew the strategies she would use, knew the energy she would try to command. But Jasmine also knew something Kellyanne didn't. She had no intention of playing by her rules. Her team warned her to expect interruptions. They warned her that Kellyanne would push, provoke, and try to dominate every second of airtime. Jasmine smiled and told them the same thing she told herself before every big fight: I stay focused, I stay calm, and I let the facts do the talking. This was more than a debate for Jasmine Crockett. It was an opportunity to show millions of Americans something they desperately needed to see. That power isn't always the loudest voice in the room. That grace under pressure can be stronger than any shout. And that real leadership doesn't require chaos to command attention. On social media, her supporters were already buzzing hours before the broadcast. Hashtags like Dr. Team Jasmine and Higher Facts first started circulating. Clips of her past viral takedowns resurfaced, fans reminding each other, she doesn't miss. For many, this wasn't just another political debate. This was personal. Jasmine represented them, and as she walked onto that stage, lights blazing, cameras ready, and millions of viewers waiting, Jasmine carried all of it with her. The weight of her journey, the voices of her supporters, the responsibility to stand firm against chaos. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't brace herself for war. She simply prepared to be exactly who she had always been, steady, precise, and unshaken. And when the cameras went live, Jasmine's quiet strength met Kellyanne's roaring storm head-on. The moment the moderators called for opening statements, tension crackled like electricity through the studio. Jasmine Crockett began to speak, her voice steady and measured, carefully laying out her argument on immigration reform and equitable policy. The audience leaned in, sensing clarity and calm, the very essence of her approach. And then Kellyanne Conway interrupted. Mid-sentence, she leaned forward, a sharp smile cutting across her face, and raised her voice. "That's just not accurate, Jasmine," she snapped, her tone dripping with condescension. She didn't wait for a response, talking over her at full volume, attempting to seize control of the room in the way she had done countless times before. Gasps rippled through the audience. Some whispered nervously, unsure whether to laugh, cringe, or gasp again. A few members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The live chat exploded. Our Kellyanne interrupts started trending within minutes, viewers scrambling to capture the chaos as it unfolded. Kellyanne didn't stop there. She mocked Jasmine's position, exaggerating her points with a dramatic flair meant to humiliate. Every gesture, every smirk, every carefully calculated pause was designed to dominate the conversation, to force her opponent into frustration or error. The energy in the studio surged, and for a brief moment it seemed as if the stage had become Kellyanne's battlefield. And Jasmine, the presumed underdog, was cornered. But Jasmine Crockett remained unmoved. She let Kellyanne finish, listening intently as if cataloging every word. She didn't roll her eyes, didn't interrupt, didn't respond with equal volume. Instead, she maintained the same calm composure that had become her signature. Every person in the audience could feel the difference. One voice frantic, desperate, to control, and another poised, grounded, refusing to be dragged into the storm. The contrast was electric. Viewers at home were glued to their screens, unable to look away. Social media erupted with clips of Kellyanne dominating, but also screenshots capturing Jasmine's unshaken expression, the calm eye in the center of the hurricane. Some commented, "She's not even flinching," while others predicted, "This is going to be legendary." Kellyanne, sensing resistance, tried every tactic she had used successfully in the past. Sharp sarcasm, pointed interruptions, quick pivots to attack. Her opponent's credibility. She leaned in, voice rising, scanning the room for reactions. But the calmness in Jasmine's eyes didn't break. She didn't hesitate. She didn't flinch. For the audience, it was mesmerizing. The usual debate formula: chaos, loud rebuttals, and dramatic interjections. UN was being upended in real time. Kellyanne had expected to dominate, to rattle, to provoke. And yet here was Jasmine, absorbing every attack, turning nothing into weakness and making each interruption feel hollow. Suspense built with every passing second. The audience, the moderators, and the viewers at home could sense the tension, coiling tighter and tighter. The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the pivot, the moment that would tip the balance. Viewers thought Jasmine was cornered, that the veteran strategist's experience and aggressiveness would finally overwhelm her calm demeanor, but they had no idea what was coming next. The moment that would leave the entire country talking, trending, and replaying the clip over and over. And then, Jasmine delivered a single line that changed everything. The studio fell silent. For the first time in the evening, Kellyanne Conway's rapid-fire interruptions hit a wall. and that wall was Jasmine Crockett. She took a deep breath, her hands resting calmly on the podium, eyes unwavering. Her voice, low but firm, cut through the chaos like a scalpel. "Let's be clear," Jasmine began, pausing just long enough for the words to sink in. The camera lingered on her steady gaze. "Facts matter. The people we represent deserve clarity, not noise." The pause was deliberate, a subtle challenge that made the audience lean forward. Every journalist, every camera operator, every viewer at home felt the weight of her composure. Kellyanne opened her mouth to interrupt. Jasmine didn't flinch. She didn't raise her voice. Instead, she continued, dismantling the points Kellyanne had been pushing with precision. "You say these policies protect families, but the numbers tell a different story. Look at the latest reports. Thousands of families face eviction, healthcare gaps, and educational inequities. We can't talk ideology while ignoring human cost." Gasps spread through the studio. Some audience members whispered to each other, astonished by the clarity and force of Jasmine's words. Kellyanne's confident smile faltered for just a fraction of a second, a tiny crack in a facade that rarely wavered. She tried again to assert dominance, raising her voice, but it was no longer a crescendo. It was a struggle to regain control. Jasmine paused again. This time it was longer, deliberate, cinematic. The camera cut to audience members shifting, in their seats murmuring, some nodding, some shaking their heads in disbelief. "We cannot legislate from arrogance," Jasmine said, her eyes sweeping the room. "We legislate from evidence, compassion, and accountability. And when those guiding principles are ignored, people suffer, not ideology." The audience reacted audibly. Heads shook, hands clapped softly at first, then louder as the truth of her argument settled over the room. Kellyanne's gestures became more aggressive, but they were reactionary now. Jasmine had seized the rhythm of the debate. She had the stage. She had the moral high ground. Every word Kellyanne uttered now seemed like noise against Jasmine's deliberate precision. Social media, already buzzing, erupted. Clips of Jasmine's calm dismantling of Kellyanne's claims were uploaded within seconds. The hashtag, #ChalkJasmineCrockett, started trending almost immediately. Viewers tweeted, "This is how you win with facts and grace," while others shared gifs of Jasmine's composed stare, overlaying captions like, "Poise, chaos." Jasmine moved through her points methodically. Every assertion Kellyanne had made was met with data, context, and clarity. Every smirk, every sarcastic comment was countered not with shouting but with truth. Each pause, each measured phrase drew the audience deeper into her orbit. The turning point came when Jasmine delivered the line that would become the viral moment. The clip replayed millions of times across platforms. "Loudness does not equal leadership. Respect does. Facts do. And America deserves both." The statement hung in the air. Silence blanketed the studio for a heartbeat. Then the applause began, tentative at first, then swelling into a wave. Cameras panned over audience, members clapping, some standing, others leaning forward in awe. Kellyanne's confident posture crumbled slightly, frustration flickering across her face. She tried one last rebuttal, but the energy had shifted entirely. Jasmine had taken control, and the room, and the internet, had noticed. For viewers, online it was instantaneous. Clips were shared and reshared, analyzed frame by frame. She didn't shout, she didn't attack, she won with truth, one tweet read. Memes, reaction videos, and TikToks exploded, portraying Jasmine as the calm, unshakable hero, and Kellyanne as the flustered, overextended antagonist. Experts debated, pundits replayed the moment, and even late-night shows featured snippets of Jasmine's poised takedown. Behind the cameras, producers whispered to one another. This wasn't just another viral moment. It was the kind of instant cultural imprint that rarely happened. For once, someone had faced Kellyanne Conway on live television and refused to be drawn into the theatrics. Someone had turned her aggression into a spectacle of composure, logic, and dignity, and through it all, Jasmine remained herself, calm, collected, and unwavering. She didn't cheer, she didn't gloat, She simply allowed the facts, the moral clarity, and the resonance of her words to do the work. The applause continued, and yet she stayed seated, aware that the moment wasn't about applause. It was about impact. In the audience, reactions varied from stunned disbelief to inspired admiration. Social media continued to erupt. Within minutes, news outlets began framing the clip as a defining moment of the week, and commentators marveled at how effortlessly Jasmine had turned an attempted intimidation into a masterclass in debate. For millions watching, it became clear. This wasn't just a debate victory. It was a statement, a reminder, and an example that calm strength and truth could rise above shouting and chaos, that dignity could outlast aggression, that facts, delivered with confidence, could captivate an entire nation. But the drama didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. The moment the cameras stopped rolling, the world exploded. Clips of Jasmine Crockett's calm, devastating takedown of Kellyanne Conway circulated instantly, searing across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Within minutes, hashtags like Jasmine Crockett, Facts Over Fury, and Poise Wins began trending nationally, then globally. Every feed was saturated with reaction clips, slow-motion highlights and screen captures of her piercing, composed stare. Journalists scrambled to cover the aftermath, replaying the exchange over and over, analyzing every word, every pause, every subtle glance. Social media users weren't just sharing clips, and they were crafting narratives. Memes of Kellyanne's momentary frustration flooded timelines. Side-by-side comparisons of Kellyanne shouting versus Jasmine's serene composure dominated feeds. Comments poured in. "I've never seen Kellyanne speechless before." One user wrote. Another exclaimed, "Jasmine Crockett just schooled her on live TV and she didn't even raise her voice." Influencers and celebrities joined the conversation almost immediately. A late-night talk show host tweeted, "That was a masterclass in composure. Jasmine Crockett showing how to win without theatrics." A prominent actress posted a short clip on Instagram captioning it, "Poise beats chaos. Watch and learn." Even political commentators, known for their sharp partisan critiques, paused in admiration. One conservative pundit reluctantly acknowledged, "She didn't just respond, she dismantled the argument with grace and precision. That takes skill." Meanwhile, Kellyanne Conway faced backlash. Clips highlighting her raised voice, repeated interruptions, and visible frustration dominated the news cycle. Social media users shared reaction GIFs mocking her meltdown, while satirical accounts portrayed her as the loud, defeated figure contrasted with Jasmine's calm heroism. Memes circulated depicting Kellyanne storming the stage with captions like, "And then she met Jasmine." The cultural conversation extended beyond mere politics. Many viewers saw a deeper significance: a black woman, calm and authoritative, standing firm against aggression and arrogance on a national stage. Parents shared clips with their children. Young activists posted stories about how Jasmine's composure inspired them to speak up. Online forums debated not just the policy arguments but the display of dignity, strategy, and courage under pressure. The imagined audience was alive with energy. Comments in live streams reflected awe and excitement. "I've never witnessed someone take on Kellyanne like this," one viewer wrote. Another confessed, "I felt every word she said, my calm, strong, undeniable. That's the kind of leadership we need." Across the country, in living rooms, offices, and classrooms, people replayed the clip, dissected her technique, and shared it as a template for grace under pressure. Even after hours, the discussion didn't fade. News anchors debated the moment on evening programs, highlighting not just Jasmine's facts but the style of delivery: poised, deliberate, and commanding. Political podcasts featured segments analyzing how her calm approach had shifted the narrative, questioning whether any opponent could match such a strategic display of restraint and intelligence. For many, this wasn't just a debate. It was a cultural moment, a defining instant that captured the intersection of media, politics, and identity. Jasmine had not only won the argument,
She had redefined what it meant to hold power in a room dominated by loud, aggressive voices. She had shown that strength could exist in calmness, that respect could triumph over chaos, and that facts, when delivered with integrity, could
move millions. Across social platforms, the chorus of validation was deafening. Clips were shared with captions like, "This is how you win with dignity." "Leadership isn't volume, it's poise." And, "Watch closely, this is history, in the making." The conversation spilled over into mainstream media, with news outlets framing it as a symbolic victory for composure over aggression, intelligence over spectacle, and truth over theatrics. But Jasmine's response wasn't just powerful. It carried a lesson for an entire generation. The debate was more than a clash of personalities. It was a reflection of what America could aspire to be. In the heat of the moment, millions had watched two opposing forces collide, one fueled by volume and intimidation, the other guided by calm precision and unwavering integrity. Yet in the end, it wasn't the loudest voice that triumphed. It was the one that embodied dignity, clarity, and truth. Jasmine Crockett's calmness wasn't just a strategy. It became a metaphor for anyone who has ever felt silenced, overlooked, or dismissed. Her composure showed that you don't need to shout to make an impact, and that listening, reasoning, and speaking with conviction can move hearts, minds, and entire nations. She reminded viewers that power isn't about domination. It's about influence grounded in honesty and principle. Across the country, people recognized themselves in that moment. Working parents, students, immigrants, activists, and ordinary citizens saw a reflection of their own struggles. Every person who had been talked over, underestimated, or disregarded could take solace in Jasmine's example. That integrity, intelligence, and perseverance can overcome even the fiercest opposition. When facts meet arrogance, dignity always wins, one commentator summarized. And she had proven it, not with theatrics or anger, but with careful thought, calm execution, and unwavering confidence. The applause in the studio, the trending hashtags online, and the viral clips were not just celebrations of a debate victory, they were celebrations of the principle that truth matters. That reason, patience, and composure can cut through the noise and inspire real change. This moment also transcended politics. It became a reminder that every arena of life, school, workplace, community, and family, rewards those who hold themselves to higher standards. That those who persist with integrity, even in the face of intimidation, leave a lasting impression. Jasmine's victory was, in essence, a call to every viewer to stand firm in your values, to speak clearly, and to let truth carry the weight of your words. For Jasmine's supporters, the moment was already becoming legendary. Clips of her poised responses circulated alongside personal stories of perseverance. "I've always been talked over in meetings," one tweet read, "but watching Jasmine today reminded me I don't have to yell to be heard." Parents shared it with their children, mentors with their students, activists with their networks. It became a shared lesson, a blueprint for responding to adversity with intelligence and grace. And while the internet buzzed, the larger takeaway settled in quietly but powerfully. This wasn't just about a debate between two women. It was about the kind of leadership America deserves. Leadership that values dignity over spectacle, truth over noise, and composure over chaos. Jasmine's performance wasn't a fleeting viral moment. It was a reaffirmation of values that resonate far beyond politics: courage, integrity, and the unwavering belief that every voice matters. This wasn't just Jasmine's victory, echoed across screens and living rooms alike. It was a victory for anyone who's ever been talked over, dismissed, or underestimated. In that moment, millions of viewers didn't just witness a debate. They witnessed hope, strategy, and the power of measured action. And now, it's your turn to be part of this movement, Kellyanne screamed. Jasmine stayed calm, and the internet chose Jasmine. That moment wasn't just a debate highlight, it was a cultural statement, a demonstration of how dignity, composure, and truth can rise above chaos and intimidation. Millions of viewers witnessed a lesson in leadership that will be remembered for years to come. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Who do you side with? The loud, domineering voice that tries to overpower, or the steady, unshakable figure who proves that strength comes from clarity and integrity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about what real leadership looks like and what it takes to stand firm in the face of aggression. And if you believe facts beat noise, if you're inspired by Jasmine's calm yet powerful example, then join the movement. Subscribe to Bald Congress to be part of a community that celebrates reason, courage, and dignity. Every subscription, every share, and every discussion helps amplify voices that matter, voices that stand for truth, fairness, and the power of thoughtful action. This wasn't just a win for Jasmine. It was a win for everyone who's ever been talked over, dismissed, or underestimated. It was a reminder that your voice, your calm conviction, and your unwavering commitment to what's right can change the conversation. So hit subscribe, share this video, and stand with those who prove that facts, integrity, and composure will always have the final word. Because in the end, it's not the loudest voice in the room that wins. It's the one that speaks with truth, confidence, and heart.